Hey, fam. I have maybe a hard question for you. How long have you been waiting for your life to calm down before you finally take care of yourself? Maybe you've been telling yourself, like, after this appointment, or after this family issue, or when I get my finances in order, or some responsibility, after this busy week. But what happens when one thing ends and something immediately takes place? That's actually what happens, right? Something ends and something immediately takes its place. And that is one of the things that I had to face. I kept waiting for life to be quieter. I kept waiting for the needs around me to decrease some magical way. I kept waiting for a reason or season when there would be more time, or that I'd have more energy, or fewer issues, or fewer people depending on me. But life wasn't about completely becoming quiet. And I began to realize that if I kept waiting for everything around me to settle down, I was going to be waiting for a long time. But also, I was going to be moving myself farther and farther away from my own list. Welcome to Conversations with Teresa. Today, I want to talk to you about 6 things I had to take responsibility for. And it's not about blaming myself. It's a re-realization. Realization. Did I say that right? Well, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's about remembering, because it's crazy how we suddenly forget things. I talk about this stuff all the time, but I can forget it when it comes to my own life at times. So, again, not about blaming myself, or for having a heavy load. My load is real. And honestly, it's very real and sometimes very hard, but that's okay. There have been needs involving my children, uh, trying to pay attention to each of them, their individual needs, and what they might have on their minds, on their hearts, what they're going through, how I can support them. And then I tell everyone I have the best husband in the whole world. But to maintain a great marriage, that takes work. It takes work that I'm absolutely pleased to do, but it does take work and it takes energy being a great wife. I assume that he would say that I was a great wife. But there's also the responsibility of helping to run the household, keeping up with the appointments and meals and decisions and schedules and conversations and all the things that need to happen to keep the family moving, and their commitments to work and business and ministry and community, and the people that I care about so much. And then what about financial concerns, decisions about work and business, and questions about how to create that stability? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I think I read somewhere it's like for retirement, you should have 7 times your annual salary at least, if that's the lifestyle you want to maintain. I'm a little short on that, just saying, right? But at the same time, with all of that going on, I'm still dealing with my own self, right? My physical, my emotional, my needs in midlife. My energy has changed. My body's changed. My emotions have changed. And as I talked to you guys before, my confidence in different areas have changed. And it's affected so many different areas at the same time. So when I say that my load is heavy, I'm not exaggerating. And I'm sure that your load is heavy. If it's not heavy right now, it may be getting there. I'd mentioned before about, my friend noticing that this heavy load, and, she took me aside and just started talking to me, and she helped me to realize that I wasn't taking care of myself. And I mentioned before just how much I appreciated that. You know, she didn't dismiss, like, get over it or anything like that. She understood what I was facing. And, you know, she didn't talk to me as though it was like I was failing or that it was a simple fix or anything like that. But she did talk to me and just wanted to make sure that I was in a place to hear that, yes, your load is heavy, but you still got to take care of yourself. I love the fact that she understood what I was dealing with and that it wasn't easy. And I hope that you have someone in your life who could do the same. If not, again, call upon me. I am a really good listener, and I will be there for you. So, anyway, she saw that it was best for me to take care of myself while I was trying to do my best to take care of everyone else. You know, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Both things can be true. And my responsibilities, again, genuinely heavy, but I was developing patterns where it was causing me to neglect myself. And I don't, you know, who wants to do that? Taking responsibility doesn't mean pretending that the circumstances are easy. It really means asking, even in these difficult circumstances, what is still within my power to change? What's still within your power to change? So again, I kept waiting for everything to settle down. The first thing I really needed to do and to take responsibility for in that was not waiting for everything to settle down. Um, I kept telling myself that I would focus on myself after the next appointment, the next family concern, the next responsibility. And now that I think about it, as I say those words, I don't even think I thought that far ahead that I would take care of myself. It was just, I'm going to go to sleep. Like, you know, and that's part of taking care of yourself, but that's not it. I think those are probably more of the truer words that I would say. But there's always another thing. There's always another appointment and another concern, one responsibility that would be completed, then another one would arise. Financial issue, another one would arise. And I was treating caring for myself as though it belonged to some future season when no one needed me and nothing was urgent. But that season rarely comes, right? That's just a reality. It doesn't come. Life does not usually become completely quiet. And there may be calmer seasons, but most of us will always have something that needs our attention. And I had to accept the fact that I needed to learn how to care for myself while life is still happening. I can't keep waiting for the perfect week. I can't keep waiting for every child is doing so well and every financial concern is good. Who's got time for that? Life is happening now. Your life is happening now. And what you have been postponing until life calms down, I don't know. We got to take a look at that. Is it like a medical appointment? Getting those glasses that we know, trying to see at this time in life can be a little bit more challenging, but maybe we need to make that appointment. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's just getting more rest or talking to a therapist or other people who can support you. Maybe it's just spending time with friends. I had a friend text me today and was just saying, I think we need some time. And I was like, I would really, really, really like that time. Maybe it's returning to prayer and just quiet time. Maybe it's working on a dream or a project that you have. Your life is not something that begins after everyone else's needs have been resolved. I treated rest and self-care like rewards. And that's not the case. It's what we need so that we can actually do the things that we want to do. The second thing that I want to bring to your attention is that I had to take responsibility for I'm sorry, it wasn't the second thing. It was This is the second thing, treating it like a reward. I often treated rest like something I could have after I completed everything else. But everything is never completely done. There's always another load of laundry, always another message, always another conversation. There's just always something else. And there's always someone who could use encouragement, right? I could use encouragement. So if rest only comes after everything is finished, rest will never come. And many of us have convinced ourselves that we have to earn the right to sit down. That's kind of, I don't know if again, sometimes I'm saying things and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's exactly what I'm feeling, not necessarily the right, but it's like, I do feel accomplished, right? And then it's like, oh, okay, I feel accomplished. I've done that. Now I can go and sit down. And I'm not sure if anyone can relate to that, but we have to complete enough somehow or help enough people or solve enough problems. It's not the case. We have to give ourselves permission to rest. But sometimes by the time I give myself permission to rest, it wasn't that I was really resting. I was like recovering from being depleted. And there is a difference between that. Rest should not only happen after I've completely exhausted myself. Rest is one of the things that helps prevent us from being exhausted. That self-care, it's not a prize for finishing something or finishing life perfectly for that week or that day or even that hour. It's part of what helps us continue living life in a healthy way. So instead of asking, have I done enough to deserve rest? I am learning, and I say learning, I'm learning to ask, what does my body and mind need so that I can continue living, loving, working, serving, and doing things in a healthy way? Another thing that I want to bring to your attention is that I had to take responsibility for I had to take responsibility for what I was expecting myself. I was expecting myself to operate at an old place. Does that make sense? So I was measuring myself against a version of me who had different energy and different responsibilities and a different body and a different mindset. I would think about what I used to be able to do and accomplish. I would think about how quickly I used to move. A random thing. I remember when I was still living at my house when I was like a teenager, and I used to be able to do like the 2 steps, like you run up the stairs and you skip a step, and man, I would be out so fast and in somebody's hospital if I tried to do that right now, right? Random thought. But I would think about how much I could carry without feeling as tired. And when I couldn't operate at the same pace, it did make me question myself. I talk a lot about confidence. I still never thought that I would be at that place. And that might be you too, that I questioned my confidence so much. And I wondered what was wrong with me. I wondered whether I had become lazy-minded or losing my motivation or my sharpness or my ability. But midlife does bring about changes, hormones and sleep changes, our bodies responding differently to stress. Do you remember the time where you used to be able to stay up all night and still like go to work the next day? Yeah, that's not going to happen, right? So we experience the fatigue, the brain fog, the physical discomfort, the emotional changes. And at the same time, our responsibilities may be increasing rather than decreasing. Our children may still need us. If you are blessed enough to still have your parents here, they may be at the point where they need you a lot more. Our marriages and our relationships, they need attention. Our jobs, our businesses. A lot of us are, having our own small businesses. We got to keep that stuff going. The household, the commitments, they still have these demands. And so it's not fair to compare the woman that I am today with the version of me who had a completely different life. It's not fair for us to do that. And yet somehow we do that. I haven't lost my value, haven't lost my intelligence, you know, and it doesn't mean that I've lost my purpose. It does not mean that I'm incapable. It means I need new rhythms for my current body, my current responsibilities, in my current season. I do not need to punish the woman that I am today because I can't perform like the woman that was 5 years ago. And I need to understand her, and I need to listen to her. I want us to listen to ourselves so much and work with her instead of constantly criticizing or questioning, you know? All right, here's another one for you. I had to take responsibility for what I was saying yes to before I was checking my capacity. And I have been hearing this word probably in the last 3 months so much: capacity, capacity, capacity. You know, and yeah, if you're like me, like we care about people so much. And sometimes I'm so focused on first whether something needs to be done or if I am the person who needs to do it, right? That's what I really need to do. So I didn't always stop, and I don't now. I haven't mastered all of this. I know this stuff, and I think you know this stuff too, but sometimes we have to be reminded. All right. So tonight I'm reminding us about this. So I didn't always stop and ask whether I was the person who should do it. And this can happen in our families, in our workplaces, our churches, friendships, businesses, communities, wherever we find ourselves. We see a need. We know we could probably help. We know someone may be disappointed if we say no. And before we've really checked in with ourselves or our schedules or anything else, we're like, yep, I'll do it. And this is something I have had to think about with everything, with ministry, children, because I genuinely love being with people. But even when something is meaningful and important, we still have to consider our capacity. The truth is that there will always be more good things to do. There'll always be another person to call. There'll always be something else to respond to, another conversation to have, another event to attend, right? And because all of this is good, sometimes it's very difficult to say no. But I am still learning that a need can be real without automatically becoming my responsibility. And it doesn't mean that I don't care. Obviously, I care, but does it have to be me? And those are hard questions because sometimes I really want it to be me. Something can really matter without it being my assignment. Someone can need help without me being the only person who can help them. So before I say yes, I have to pause and ask myself some honest questions. Do I really have the capacity to do it? Am I the only person who can do it? And what will I have to neglect in order to say yes? All of those things are tough. They're hard things to grapple with. Because like I said, a lot of these things I want to do. And I'm sure like in your life, if it's something that you don't want to do, you could be like, nah, I'm good. I can't, I don't have the capacity. But when we want to do it, that's really hard. It's really hard to say no. But I have to keep reminding myself, every good opportunity is not necessarily my assignment. Every good opportunity may not be your assignment. And that's okay. It's really okay. Here's another thought. taking responsibility for what was allowing, um, like where guilt comes in, I'll put it. Guilt can influence decisions in a way. And I have, talking about the old self and the new self, I've always said, like feeling guilty was not necessarily my challenge. There are some people who have a guilty conscience. I don't, for good or for bad. You can take that the way that it is. But I, I think lately I felt guilty about wanting to do more and not being able to. So sometimes I continue doing something not because I had peace or capacity, but because I didn't want to disappoint someone. And not that I was afraid of disappointing them, but there was a genuine need. And if I didn't do it or didn't help, they may have just gone without, at least for a time. And that, I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And that's just reality. Will they feel abandoned? Will they think that I'm unreliable? Will they think that I'm being selfish? I don't know. Can't control what everyone's feeling all the time, but those things do come up. And it makes things hard to create boundaries. But I'm learning that it's not always proof that I'm doing something wrong. Sometimes guilt is simply the uncomfortable feeling that comes with changing an unhealthy pattern. I may feel guilty when I say no, but have I trained other people and sometimes myself to expect that I'm always going to say yes? And so that it's one of those really, really tricky times, but it doesn't have to be. We can put up those boundaries. We can say no. It doesn't mean I don't care. But pulling back from things, which I've had to do significantly, especially lately, it doesn't mean that I'm quitting. It doesn't mean that anything bad. It just means that I'm being healthy. And I am thinking about my capacity. I am thinking about that other person. And maybe me saying no is really setting them up to find other resources, to be stronger, So all that to say is that guilt can play a role, but it doesn't have to be like the end all to be all. All right. One last thing that I want to talk about is I had to take responsibility for let's see, how do I put this? Confusing being needed with being responsible for everything. I think that's the best way I can say it. So being important to the people in my life doesn't mean that I have to personally carry every need. Sometimes being the dependable person or becomes part of my identity or becomes part of our identity. And we're the one who remembers the birthdays and the appointments and all this stuff. We organize, we fix things, we encourage, we check in, we follow through, we make sure that everyone is okay. And if we're honest, sometimes it feels good to be needed, right? I like doing these things. And it can make us feel valuable. And it can make us feel important. It can make us feel secure in our relationships, all of that stuff. But being needed can also become dangerous when we begin believing that nothing will work unless we personally handle it. It has to be what we do. Being needed may affirm my importance, but carrying everything, it will destroy capacity. We have to allow other people to contribute. It also helps other people to grow in things, when we don't let people do the things that they can do, like I think about our children in particular, if they can do it, And then if I keep stepping in and doing it for them, how are they going to learn? And we don't want to do that. So I have to allow other people to solve problems. If they mess up, that's okay. I messed up, right? But it's not always that easy. And in the moment, I might not even be thinking that way, but it is so important. I'm kind of preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to me, right? These things, I'm saying all of these things because these are things that I still struggle with. And I'm reminding myself and I'm reminding you that these things are real and we can walk through this together. So if I can support someone without becoming responsible for every outcome, come on, I'm in. I can love my children without solving every problem for them. And I can care for my husband without ignoring my own needs. I can serve other people without meeting every need or going to every meeting or all of that stuff. And I can help run my household without believing that every task belongs to me. Ooh, that's a hard one because I kind of like the way that I do things, right? My husband's like shaking his head. I do like the way that I like the way that I cook my food. I like the way that I clean certain things because I'm going to look behind it. I do. I know it's a challenge, and to let go, it's a challenge. So we like this. I'm sure that there are people out there who's listening who can relate. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. But I'm not responsible for every family need, and nor are you, and nor should we be. I'm not responsible for every financial challenge or decision, or even every physical change. I'm not responsible for every need that appears around me. I am responsible for how long I keep postponing myself. I am responsible for whether I treat rest as necessary or optional. I am responsible for whether I respect my current capacity. And I'm responsible for pausing before I say yes. I'm responsible for recognizing when guilt is driving my decision. And I'm responsible for remembering that I do not have to carry everything simply because I care. So maybe your life's not going to calm down this week. Maybe your children will still need you. Your household will still need attention. The bills still need to be there or are still there. Maybe it's your work, your business, your church, family responsibilities, all of this stuff. But you can make one different decision while life is still happening. So let me leave you with this question. What is one thing you need to stop postponing? Is it rest? Is it that doctor's appointment, that eyeglasses appointment that you need to set up? Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's just saying no. Maybe I've been putting off taking this walk because XYZ, ABC. You don't have to change everything today, but you can choose one thing. I would love to hear which of these areas spoke to you. I really would, because like I said, I need this too. And I know that I'm not walking this alone. I want to walk it with you. I know it here, but sometimes the actions don't always come out. We can do this together. All right. So, was it waiting for life to calm down? Is that what you're waiting for? Again, it's probably not going to calm down before life still needs to keep going on. I want you to have your peace. I want you to find the pace that you need to be at. I need you to check in with your capacity, how you're making decisions. And let's do this together. I'd love for you to leave a comment, send me a message, or share this episode with another woman who may be waiting for life to calm down before she starts caring for herself. And make sure you follow Conversations with Teresa, because we're going to continue having these honest conversations. I will let you know exactly where I am. There's very few things that, if you ask me, that I wouldn't tell you. Like I said, guilt is not necessarily my thing. I tell everybody everything. And I'm hoping, I say that in hopes that it will free you up to be honest, to be real with yourself, and to not take on the things that you don't have to take on. All right. So I love being with you tonight. I love being with you each and every week. Please follow, comment, answer the question, say hi, do a wave, whatever it is, and have an amazing rest of your week. Peace out.